So I made $40,000 off this property that's probably over 500 miles away, and I did it without no credit and without my own money. And in this video, we're gonna do a deep dive to show you how we got this done. So stay tuned. We're gonna show you how we got it done. We're gonna show you all the numbers toward the end. And man, I'm excited about this. So let's get into it. I'm gonna bring on the guy that y'all familiar with, my guy Cordero. He on the
Yo,
team. He actually locked this deal up, So man, we're excited about it. It closes tomorrow. So man, we're excited. How you feeling, man?
dog, I'm feeling good, man. Maybe might grab some footage or something like that to show y'all from the closing. But and I was gonna say too, you know, 500, you know, a lot of miles away, you know, thousands of miles away. But he didn't use none of his own money, and he didn't even have to lock it up. Like he didn't even have a conversation with the seller. I don't think you talked to the seller or anything. Well, you did originally talk with him, but it's like getting him on a contract. You ain't had to get him on a contract. You ain't have to do none of the negotiations after we already got him on the contract. So, like, I think this is a crazy deal. And we put our foot off in this one. I think so. Just as far as rolling with the punches. So we can go ahead and give y'all a breakdown.
And
Deal
this is
breakdown.
my first out of state deal too, man. People talk about like they live in an expensive market or it's hard to do deals in their market. Um, you know, and even me, like I was really into my market at the beginning, but now that you know, I talked to people who was doing more stuff. It's like, okay, let me try to go out into different markets. And so this is the first deal that I actually bought a property that was out of state, like actually purchased it, you know, and then went and sold it. So man, let's get into this deal, man. So it all started out with, you know, and then like Cordero always say, always be in the right place. So
Yeah.
I'm just waking up, go to my computer, man, on a Saturday.
Yeah, I believe so.
On
It
a
was
Saturday, I get to my computer. I'm just checking my stuff, just look see if anybody texted over the weekend. And this guy texts and it's like, yeah, he ready to sell. I'm like, okay. Um, and so I reached back out to him. It's like, I just went through the regular protocol. Like, is anything wrong with the property? Doesn't need any major repairs. Do you have a timeline? He's like, I want to sell ASAP. Is there any particular reason you're looking to sell? He said his HVAC just broke. He ain't got the money to pay for it, and he need to sell it. So I'm like, oh man, here we go. So I hit Cordero because he's the acquisitions manager, and I'm like, dude, hey, look, we got somebody that's looking to sell. Bam, send it to him, and he calls the guy, and then boom, Cordero throw a little magic on there. He started doing a little sprinkling. He stirred it up a little bit, and
yeah,
actually, we got that guy locked up on the phone.
yeah, yeah. That was the first. I mean, I think both Byron and I had done that before, but that was where we started, and we were just like, okay, we're gonna do this every time. And where we kind
Yeah.
of started. Now that's pretty much standard. We do this every time, but we did it with him on the horn, and it was just like it was coming. It allowed us to handle any objections, and we was right there. We just gotta go ahead and get you locked up, dog. Get you locked up. But a couple points, it's like Byron said, it's not about being in the right place at the right time. It's about always being in the right place, consistent with your marketing, and consistently checking. Because who knew? Who knew he was just gonna hit us up like, hey, you know what I'm saying?
On a Saturday.
Neither one of us knew that he was gonna do that, but he did. And Byron could have been like, "Oh man, it's Saturday. I'm gonna sit back and eat
Chill.
Oreos all day with my kids, and
Oh
I'm
man,
just
that's
chill,
how.
2K." Real talk, you can do that and this. That's what I be saying. It's just like, dude, if you're gonna do all the extra stuff, do this too. Like I be playing the Nintendo while I'm in the dialer. You know what I mean? But it's just like it's kind of got to be a natural thing where you just always like on the lookout because ultimately too, if Byron would have missed it, who knows what would have happened? Who knows how long it would have took that guy to get in hold of somebody? He really had a real problem, an issue that we was able to solve for him, which we'll go into that here as well. But Byron got him. We got him on the horn. We got him locked up right there. Right there.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And like I said, this deal is the first out of state deal, and there was a lot of stuff that happened within this deal, and there was a big wrench that was thrown into the deal, which we're going to tell y'all about here in a little bit, where it almost blew up the deal. You know what I'm saying? Deal almost died.
I'm tell
So it's like
you,
this guy wanted to close, so it's like, dude, I always say time kills all deals, and he needed to close fast. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's one thing that we really did. How did that conversation go? Tell us about that conversation, like the initial conversation that you had with him, and how, like, what did you do to get him locked up, like on the phone? Because a lot of people ask about, like, how do I even asked, I was like, man, how do you get somebody on the phone and like put them on the contract right then and there?
yeah, you mean with the seller, right? Not
Yeah, with the seller.
so. Again, Byron had kind of, and I think that this would because the way it came into is it kind of caught us both off guard. Honestly,
Yeah, for
uh,
sure.
and so we missed a couple points, like obviously asking the decision maker or whatever. We have a standard like process and procedures that a deal goes from the text message platform. That's like a fresh, hot off the line. Like if this was a factory and like we was making some sort of food, like let's say we was making cookies and they was out in a factory, we got stuff that's coming off the line, you got stuff that's getting wrapped, stuff that's being shipped in boxes, stuff that's being stocked in a warehouse, stuff that's being sent out in truck. It's like it's levels to the process to get to a completion. But for us, we do got that system, and I think it just jumped right from Byron to me. And so I forgot to ask him if he had any other decision makers. That's a key point. But I went there and I was just like, so you talk with a member of my team. You were talking with Byron earlier, and you said you're interested in selling your property, man. Tell me a little bit about that, right? And so my first thing is, it all depends on how a lead comes into you. But Byron had let me know this guy already has some motivation. He let me know what was going on. This guy had reached out to us and the type of verbiage he was using. Need to get it off my hands. I need to let it go. I just don't want to. I just want to walk away from it. Little stuff like that. I'm like, okay. And Byron was letting me know that. So when I got on the phone, my first thought is, let me just clarify. Just clarify. You told my guy, because there's been plenty of times where like a person will tell Byron or Laura one thing, then I get on the phone and they telling me something completely different. So
Yeah.
first thing is to clarify. So you do want to sell this property, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like, I think that's big. Like, that's nothing to be glossed over. It's like, you know, he goes into like talks to that person. It's like, hey, look, you do want to sell this property, right?
Right.
Just to confirm, you know what I'm saying? And to let them know, like, hey, like this is what you're getting into. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like,
Like no matter what you've discussed previously, I'm resetting. We're going back to the top, and I'm resetting the expectation, and we're going over this again. So they've already acknowledged, they've already raised their hand, but I'm still asking. Okay, I'm the purchase specialist. I need to. Let's start here. You do want to sell it, right? And so what I'm doing is trying to clarify that what I've been told when your information came to my desk, all of this stuff is accurate, right? Up to date. Just to make sure. And you can do this even if you're a one-man team. And you was, let's say you're in a dialer, you're a one-man team, you just got a lead and you talk with them on Monday. They gave you this whole spiel, you talk with them for a good bit, they're ready to go. And you say, okay, I'm gonna get this over to my underwriting team, and then I'm gonna get back to you by the end of this week. You shop it out to some buyers, you give them a call back. When you call them back, you want to say, hey, so just, this ago, I know we talked a little bit about it on Monday, but I just want to check with you. I mean, you are interested in selling this property. Be redundant, over clarify, and over communicate.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's going to help you just so that way, if anything has changed, if they was just in one, whatever. After I've established that and established that.
No, go ahead. You got it.
Now, I was going to say, after I've established that and like I've clarified, then my next thing is, okay, now as the purchase specialist, acquisition manager, I want to do more exploring. I want to take it upon myself, the skill sets that I got available to me is to try to explore deeper. Maybe there is something that I could find tactically that Byron didn't get or Laura didn't get from talking to you that first time because it was just a first call. Mm-hmm. Even if you're a one-man team, when you get back on that phone, after you've reestablished that first part, the second thing is to see, okay, yeah, we talked Monday, but maybe there's something that I didn't get. Let me go a little bit deeper. I got all of these points, but when we talked on Monday, you said something about, wanting to move back home to Kentucky. You know, have you always been from Kentucky? What's it like? Or do you got family back there? Like, go, this is your opportunity after you've done that to go deeper and try to get more. So that was my thought process on that first conversation. Establish the obvious, I guess you would say, and then see if I can explore any newer opportunities or anything like that. And I obviously missed the decision maker question. That's a major one. Don't miss it. It will come back to bite you. But other than that, I was trying to figure out, just get a little bit more. He's like, yeah, man, I'm just ready to go. I'm ready to sell it. So basically, it was again, I told Byron, sometimes the sun just shine on you.
And what did I say? Like, what did I say?
I don't know, man. I don't know. You know what I mean? Something don't seem right about this. He just gonna get it to us like this. But he was letting us know, and what I was trying to do was discover exactly what his situation was, go a little bit more in depth. And I was trying to understand or ascertain what he owed on the property or what he needed. Once I realized that he was definitely interested in selling, he definitely had a problem that we can help him with, which was, okay, this is sometimes an investment property is a problem and not a, I think a lot of y'all who may be watching this might be like, oh, an investment property. I wish I had my first rental property. For some people, it's an albatross around the neck and it's a problem.
Yeah, it can be.
It can be. Just depending on the person's situation. That was what I identified with this person.
And situations always change.
Yeah, it can be a blessing one day and a burden the next day too. You know what I'm saying? Just depending on your life, because life happens. So that's what I identified about this individual. And what he was telling me, basically what he told Byron, and he was just like, yeah, man, the HVAC is out. That's going to cost us like $5,000-$6,000 to do. I ain't got that right now. I just kind of want to get out from under it. If you can just go ahead, take it off my hands, and I don't have to come to the closing table with any money. So I was like, okay, he has a problem. We've identified that. We can solve it by buying his house. Where do you need to be at? So from there, I was just trying to figure out how much he owed. What do we need to shout out to William?
Ali, shout out to Ali, man.
But we were just trying to figure out, okay, what does he owe? And what do we need to get to him in order for it to make sense? He said 170. He was actually like, man, I think I owe like 130. And there was other things like, besides just the HVAC, the tenants were not paying on time and things like that. The tenant had put him behind. Like, he didn't have the money to pay where he was living at and the second mortgage. So if the tenant didn't pay for a couple months, that put him in arrears with his mortgage company. And so he had to pay to get caught up, and he had just been coming out of pocket over and over again. And now the HVAC was the last straw. So I was like, okay, you definitely want to sell. You definitely have an urgency to sell. We can help you out with that. So what do we need to be numbers wise? I got that. And he was like, I think I owe like 130 because I was behind. And then he was like, I can't owe no more than 150. I can't owe no more than 150. So if you guys can, I just don't want to come to the closing table with any money. If you guys can do 170, that'll be a good deal. He was looking at the numbers. He was like, 170, or maybe it was 175. Yeah, it was 170. It was like, if you guys can do 170, that'll definitely be good. So, okay. So we went on and pushed. And in order to get him under contract on the phone, I think this is easy now that I've done it, but it's just like, you want to really think about it as like, position it, anything that you need the seller to do, whether it's getting them under contract on the phone or whether it's doing a subject to deal or a novation deal as opposed to a straightforward cash offer, whatever it is, sell them the solution or the benefit to them. You know what I'm saying? Sell them the benefit of doing it and position it like it's going to help them. So I was just like, no, okay, well, I understand you want to go. I want to make sure that we're going to able to go ahead and get these funds set aside for you and secured. So if I can go ahead and send you a purchase agreement now. And two, he said he wants to do this quickly. His whole thing was, can we close on the property before my next mortgage payment is due? Right? I don't have, and again, I didn't tell him that.
I think you actually brought that to him. Like, he was telling you all the problems and stuff, and you was like, well, it seemed like you probably want to sell before your next mortgage payment. And
I might have and we've talked about this before. It's just like, if you got a hunch, go with it, but it can bite you in the butt if it don't work. But I didn't tell him, I didn't dictate it to him. I kind of threw it out there, and it was more of a question, like a
more like
curiosity. Like, I mean, we could, if you need to. I understand. So we've dealt with some people, and it's probably better if they like get it done before the next mortgage payment. He was like, yeah, definitely. You know what I mean? So when it came to ask him about the contract, I was just like, that was the urgency. That was the time. That was the rush that we needed to get. So I was exploring urgency. So I kind of threw it out there from talking to him. And I was just like, well, in order to make sure that we can get this property closed on before the next mortgage payment, which we had like 10 or 15 days to do so, we got to get the contract now. We got to get the funds secured today. So I'm going to go ahead and send you the purchase agreement right now. And hey, you know, if we can get this 170 approved, I got to check with my underwriters. I can check with them real quick while we're on the line. But if I can get them to approve it, I don't know if they will. You know, is there any reason why we couldn't get the process started right now? Like I said, I want to make sure that we're able to go ahead and get the funds secured so that way we can close before your next mortgage payment. He was like, nah, we can go ahead and get it now. I just want to check and see if my lender and see how much I owe if I can get the payoff balance. And I thought he was trying to throw me that for an objection. And I was like, all right, dude. Well, I mean, we could, before I could even finish, he was like, I'll call him real quick. Hold on, stay right here. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Well, he was ready to go at like 150. He was saying, hey, I just want it paid off.
Nah, he was saying he owes 150.
No. I'm saying originally he was just saying he wanted paid off. He was like, he really didn't even care. Like,
nah, exactly. Yeah, because he kept saying, as long as I don't have to go to the closing table.
Yeah.
He said, I don't think I owe no more than, he said, I think I owe like 130, because he was talking about how he had been behind on the payment, so he had to pay to get caught up. So he was like, I think I owe 130. I know I don't owe no more than 150. This is what he was telling me on that call. I don't know. No, I don't owe no more than 150.
Did he ever get his lender on the phone?
No, he got him on the phone, but lenders is going. And just so y'all know, if a person is trying to call to get their payoff, the lender don't want to give you that, because they money ain't in you paying off the loan early. Their money is in you paying them over time, the amortization rate. Yeah. So they be difficult with you. And I was just like, man, call him. He was like, nah, I called him before and asked, so I'll see. But he did call him while I was on the phone, and I heard him. He was calling him, and they were just being difficult. Well, why do you need that? Yada, yada, yada. So he never actually did get he didn't get he got them on the horn, but he did not get the payoff amount because they was being difficult.
And that's why we was willing to go and say, hey, how about 170? You know, we know, you know, what would you feel good that you know that you don't owe?
Yeah. And so
that's how we got to 170.
Yeah, right. That's how we got to 170, right? And then I was like, okay, I can get you. And I was like, I can get you if I can get that approved. Can we go ahead and get the process started? Is there any reason why we couldn't? I don't necessarily say, hey, can we sign the contract right now? Or I'm gonna go ahead. I asked them in a counterintuitive way, in the sense I'm not saying, hey, can we sign the contract right now? I'm going to say, is there any reason why we couldn't? Or would you be totally against getting the purchase agreement signed today? Right? That's how I'm asking it, because their response is going to be like, no, ain't no reason why we couldn't. And people naturally want to say no to you. I think this guy was already leaning. We already had him. But if you can do these things right every single time, like every time, again, this is where we bring up perfect practice. It's like, even though he had a stronger motivation and he had reached out to us, I'm still going to use these little tactics like, would you be opposed to getting the process started today? I'm not just going to kind of take it easy on him. No, you know what I mean? Do this every time, whether it's a difficult seller or a highly motivated, ready to go seller. When you come down to get them to sign the purchase agreement, set that expectation. All right, is there any reason why we couldn't get the process started today? Or would you be totally against getting the purchase agreement, the process started today, if we can get a price that works for you, right? And so he's like, no, he did it. He called them, didn't really get the number. He felt safe at 170. And I was like, I think we can get that done. If we can, I'm going to go ahead and send it over to you. I'm going to send it to you while we're on the phone. So that way, if you have any questions or any objections, I can answer them for you. I'm going to go over it with you line by line. And he was like, okay. And I went over it line by line. We talking slow. We just got a one pager. And I'm just letting them know, like, dog, we don't got no confusing, complicated, convoluted stuff. All the King James version. I always say, the contracts, they be the hitherto forthwence and thine thou thither. And you be like, good night. Well, what does any of this mean? Like, ours is just straight up. We buying your property, dude. Don't be on no BS. I won't be on no BS. If you want to access to that purchase agreement that we use, man, join our group. What is it in a group? Is in a group? I think you can get access to it.
It's in the group. It's in the course. You go get it.
Go get that thing, man. But I went over it line by line, and I think Byron was like on a lot of times when I'm talking to the seller, I'll be talking to him on my computer, and then I have Byron on the phone, and he'll hear me, like he'll just hear it. He'll be like, "Say this, ask him about this. What about this? What about this?" And I'll be like, "Dude, did we got it?" I'm on the phone like, "So yeah, man, looks like everything is good. I'm just gonna confirm that I'm just like, Byron, man, did he sign it? Text me that he signed it." He was just like, he said he signed. It was like that.
Yeah, all about that. We got him 170, but like we said, it's something that came along that was about to blow this deal up. We like, man, we get to do that 170. We probably can at least buy it and list it and sell it. Like, dude, it's finna be a 60 ball out this mug, man.
Yeah. I think we need to add the fact that this was, again, like we talked about this yesterday. It don't have to be a trash property for it to be a deal. It wasn't the fact that the property was trash. It was that his circumstances were trash. I'm being quite honest. Yeah. What he was going through at that time were trash. I think he was going through I don't know. I think he was going through something like it.
He didn't have the money. I don't even know if it was necessarily divorce. He did not have the money to fix his
But
property.
I'm saying on top of everything, like what put him in that position, because there was at one point he had it, and then now it's like if you got a rental property and it becomes a burden to you and not an asset, it's more of a liability. It's a series of things that gets you to that point in your life. You know what I mean? And so I was just talking with him, and in hindsight, I realized like it's probably several other things that put him in that position. But the property was in fairly decent. Like it didn't need much. It needed a new HVAC, obviously, because that was one of the biggest things he wanted to sell for. And just a couple other touch-ups needed to be clean. None seared, right? And so when we looking at those numbers, we're like, dog, it'd be different if we had to do a 30K rehab. We didn't. But real quick, man, before we dive off on that, Frank's comment, I like the way you fished for the real problem behind the problem. I need to get to that level. Dog, I'm telling you.
Everybody trying to get to Cordero level, man.
Man, I'm just telling you, and I don't always get it. I don't always get it right, but just try to be consistent and you'll get better and better. But that's what you got to do. That's the key right there. When they tell you the problem, don't be like, okay, that's the problem. And then next question, no, go deeper, ask more questions about the problem. And don't feel like you want to make sure that the questions that you're asking are still moving the sale forward, the conversation forward, but play chess and think strategically like, okay, if he said, I got to sell it because of this. And I'm like, man, dude, what's going on? Like, let's ask deeper questions. And then because either one of two things or one of a few things could happen. But one thing is he may reveal more to you about the actual problem itself, or he may reveal other problems that you can kind of layer on and solve for him.
Exactly. Because the more you talk to him, the more problems you're going to be able to see the whole situation, right?
Right.
And
right.
We, missed out on a big important part that cost us later. You know what I'm saying? Dude. Almost cost us the whole deal, but it cost us, right? It cost us a lot. So make sure that you do keep talking, keep fishing, and keep going. So,
but I think it was something else, and we're going to talk about it. I think it might have been something else too. But yeah, what Byron said, you need to get the full, as much as you can, get as much of the whole picture as you can. Because it's like a picture, but it's like this picture that we're looking at right now of this property. It's like if he zoomed in to just the front door, it's hard to get a real idea what's going on with that property if you zoomed in on the front door. Zoom out and zoom out until you get the full picture as much as you can. The more, the better, right? So I don't get it right every single time, but the more you do it, just the better you are as far as, and also too, when they get because the objections is going to start coming when you start talking about problems, and we are going to talk about that. But I'm like, at the top of this call, I already asked you this. I already asked you all of this. So don't start telling me you can just hold on to it when you already told me 10 minutes ago that it's killing you. You know what I mean? So that's the number one reason why. But for sure, shout out to Cass, man.
Shout out to Cass, man. Cass in the building, man.
Cass in the building.
Oh yeah, Frank Cass in the
Cass in the building.
Yeah, hey, Cass always hitting us up, man. Appreciate you, Cass, man, coming through for sure. But yeah, here's the property right here, actually. That's in Clarksville, Tennessee. And this is kind of what we saw, man. We saw that this property, looked pretty good. You know what I'm saying? What we did was, once we got this guy on the contract, we set up an inspection. And we had called a realtor to go out there and take some pictures for us. And we saw what the property conditions were. So we was like, man, we can buy this property, right? We can buy cash and we can relist it. You know what I'm saying? Should be. We saw the other stuff in the neighborhood. We like, okay, we should be able to sell it for like, at worst, 250, 240 at worst. And we buying it at 170. So it should be around the 60 ball. Close. You know what I'm saying? It's like we should be getting close to a 60 ball. But man, then here came the thunder, man. Lightning and the thunder.
So we're supposed to close on a Monday.
Supposed to close on Monday, man. We ready to go.
Friday. Here come Friday. Can you, hey Byron, can you include the dark music come in and maybe like a black tent?
Dum, 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 dum.
So Friday, I get a call out the clear blue sky, and it was a nice soft voice at the end of it. She said, "Hey, is this Cordero?" I was like, "Oh snap! I hope it ain't one of my, somebody that I used to know." Cordero? She called me on my side. No. She got me on my smartphone, my company line. So I was like, "Oh, who is this?" Hello, yeah. She was like, "I'm the seller. I'm his wife." And this is how she started it too. I'm the seller's wife, and he's talking about selling that property. I was like, "Yeah, actually, we are." He didn't mention you, but yeah, like I'm thinking, like he ain't say nothing about his wife, but yeah. But that's also, I didn't ask about his wife, right? And so she's just like, I don't think we can go forward. I don't know if I really want to move forward with this because that price, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work for us. That price just doesn't work for us. I don't know. I can't really, I don't think we want to move forward. So I'm just like, well, actually, what? You know what I mean? And so what she do, she definitely hit me with a curveball, and she was talking like she don't want to move forward. So what I was thinking, and I was actually driving when she called me. I was driving somewhere. I think I might have been going to get something to eat or something like that. So I just pulled the car over and parked somewhere. I was just like, okay, so let me know what's going on. So you're saying she's talking about she don't want to do the deal. And I'm like, okay, well, he hasn't mentioned you. He didn't say anything about you. And we are going towards the closing table because he said he wants to close on this property. Again, I brought back up the sense of urgency. The more information you get from that person, you can always utilize it going forward when they're trying to let you know, hey, we need to do this or we need to do that or whatever the case may be. And so I was just like, well, he said he wants to close before the next mortgage payment. He said he wants to get it off his hands. And so we're trying to move toward the closing table to meet his deadline. We've been trying, we've already paid for an inspection. We're moving full steam ahead towards the closing table, right? To meet his deadline. And she was like, okay, no, I understand. So I was just like, so look, wait, Is it that you don't want to sell? Because I've run into all sorts of conditions or situations where it's like another person will call me and they don't want to sell at all. Like, you don't want to sell at all. It's like, no, I was thinking about listing it, yada yada yada. But she was saying, I said, or is it that price point? Are you just not confident or okay with moving forward with that price? She gave me like a mixed response, like, yeah, it's kind of the that it's that price point. Honestly, I was thinking we could probably list it with a realtor. I was thinking we could probably do this, or we might even be able to hang on to it and just keep it as a rental. Honestly, I just want to make sure such and such and this and that. I was like, okay, no, I absolutely understand, and I just wanted to make sure again, if we can get a price that works for you, you would, because we've already moved. We're moving to the closing table. We already, like, we're supposed to be closing on Monday, ma'am. It's Friday afternoon. It's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Just like we were trying to get everything. We actually sent over, we're trying to make sure we get everything worked out. And so just let me know if I can get you a price. Can we still move towards closing on Monday? She was just like, yeah, I could do that. If we can get a price that works. I was like, okay. Now, mind you, we at 170 right now. So I was like, what price do you think we need? She gonna say, she said 215. Oh, and I had the Fred Sanford, you know what I'm saying? Like, this was the big one, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, good night. So the deal, I'm like, I don't know. I think I immediately was just like, I don't know. And I think I knew I didn't, ultimately what I was thinking in that moment, just to give you guys a snapshot, I was thinking, okay, we're not doing no 215. And if it boils down to either do 215 or keep it moving, then we probably gonna keep it moving, dog. Because that's 40K more that just blows up the whole deal. It doesn't make it a deal at that point. And I was also thinking, okay, but what can we do? And there are other people involved. I didn't want to make any unilateral decisions, so I was just like, okay, well, I understand. I want to make sure you get something. And I think I was setting the expectation for her because I knew I was going to come back to negotiate. I don't know if we can do 215, but I know we got to come up and make something work. Let me talk with my underwriting team, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible because, again, I want to make sure that we can close on Monday. And I'm creating that urgency because what people are going to do is if you say something and you try to get them to make a decision right in that moment, they always love to say, well, give me just a second. Let me get some more time and all of that because they want to go, I don't know, maybe shop it around. If we gave her all the time in the world and we didn't already started moving towards the closing table, she could do whatever. She could do whatever, you don't know. So I'm just like, again, we got our urgency by your husband. We're trying to meet this, right? And she was talking about, just so y'all know, it's like where she's been out this entire time in the negotiation because we have been talking with him back and forth. She said, I've been out of town on vacation and he didn't discuss with me and I don't feel comfortable. I'm like, ma'am, you talking about him like he one of the kids at the house that didn't answer the door when you told him don't answer the door or something crazy like that, right? And so that's where she was at. She said 215. So I was like, let me go ahead and holler. I said, let me talk to my underwriting team and I'll get right back to you.
Oh, man. The worst call.
Dude.
He called me like, this lady want 215. Oh, man.
Yeah. And then he's like,
I felt like I was on an episode of R. Kelly trapped in the closet out this mug, man.
Hey, dude. I felt like I was Sanford and Son. This was a big one, boy. When she's hot, I
was like, dude.
Ma'am, you done lost your rabbit behind mine, dude.
She came out the closet like, oh.
Know what I'm saying? Shawty came out the closet talking about some. I was on vacation and he said this without consulting me. We was like, is he a kid? Like you just can't. I just can't leave him every time. I can't leave him by himself. No, man, no.
He tried to sell a house.
He's in a hurry and she comes back now. There ain't no hurry. Sounds sus. All right. And I want to give y'all the next part of the conversation because this is where I really went deep. All I had to do was go back, regroup, And I told Byron, and I was just like, this. She said 215. I was like, me and him both were like, we're not doing no 215. I was like, but what can we do? Let's see what's the most we can come up. What, like 180? That's the max. Because I'm about to go back with her.
I told her we can't. I told him we cannot go over 190. Like we just can't.
And then I said 180. I said my mental expectation, dude, 180. 180, 180, 180, dude. Because if I start negotiating in terms of 190, then she
no, I was just saying we like 190 is like the ceiling. If she get 190, it's like we finna fight.
But what I'm saying is mentally, I can't even let myself get the option of 190.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't even have told me 190. Like don't let me know. You know what I mean? Because I gotta mentally be thinking in terms of dog, we can't go over 180. And then I'm gonna set it up. But before I go back into that's where we was at. He said 190. I told myself, okay, we're shooting for 180. 180, 10K up. There was a little bit of prelude. She started to sneak her way into this. It's almost like a movie. It was a foreshadowing that she was about to pop up. Because Byron, again, he was just like, I don't know, dude. This seemed kind of sus. He just want to give up the deal like that. And you know what I'm saying? He want to move all quick. It just don't seem right. I was like, man, Byron, we ain't got nothing to wear. Sometimes the sun just shine on her. Yeah, for sure, Rolex.
The sun ain't shining like that, dude.
For sure. But this is before she even gave me before she even gave me that call, we had got some news from the title company. They was just like, the other party's gonna need to sign. And we was just like, what? Other party? It's like, okay.
Like, maybe his wife was on there. He didn't know she was there. She didn't know he was on the title, or you know, maybe he didn't know that she needed to sign, or you know what I'm saying. Oh, we'll just get her to sign.
Dude. He ain't say nothing about having a wife. Maybe he just old school. Whatever I say goes in this thing. Yeah. Whatever I say goes. I was like, okay, that's interesting. But the title company, again, I really appreciate my title company. They wasn't saying it like, oh, it's a problem. They were just like, oh, it's the other party. We're going to send her. They already had set up a closing date with the other party, right? Yeah. This is why this important key right here is why I don't think it's necessarily just because we didn't consult her. Yeah. I think it's this part right here. They had already even set up a closing date with the party. And then the day before that Friday, when Byron called and he was just like, he said, no. When she called me on that Friday, but the day before that, Byron called me. He was just like, dude, he finally, because the title company, they're the one who actually gets the payoff amount. Remember, the seller, he tried to call his bank and get the payoff himself. They didn't want to do it. Our title company does it for us. I always let the sellers know, hey, don't worry about it. The title company get the exact payoff down to the penny. We got the payoff information in. Byron called me. It was like that Thursday. He was like, man, guess what the payoff? Guess how much they about to walk away with at the closing table. I was like, how much? Because I'm thinking he about to say a large amount. I'm like, bro, they done got us, man. How much? He said something like $1,200. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, $1,400.
14. I was like, ooh, they got to get a stimulus check. No. So I was just like, okay. But then when the wife, so this is what I'm thinking. I think he did consult her. I think he was cool. But as he mentioned, because this is hindsight, looking back on it after everything that I went through, I'm like, I really think that this is what it is. He did consult her. And I remember at the top of this conversation, he was talking about, I think on 0130, I shouldn't owe no more than 150.
No more than 150.
Right? And so we agreed to 170. So in his mind, he's telling himself and his wife, okay, I'm about to sell it. We might get 20K. We might even get 40K. Maybe. And then they get the payoff amount and it say 1,400. He done got her mouth watering, his mouth watering, and it say.
You start telling people they about to get 15K. Oh, they starting to spend money.
They spend it. So that's what, and her tone, the way she called me, it was on that type of time. So what I think it was, he did consult with her and what makes me think that also too is because the title company had already set up a closing date with her. Because when she called me, she was just like, I know we're supposed to be closing this, but she told me I already got a Zoom call scheduled to close on Monday, but I don't want to do it. It's because once she saw that payoff amount, once she saw that they was only getting $1,400, dog, the wife always be like, no, you need to get my money every time, without fail, every time. So that's what it was, really, if we being real. But I should have asked him, hey, are there any other decision makers? So that way I can get that. But I think even if I figured, discuss with her from the rip, I think she'd have came back anyway once she saw that 1400. I was just like, no, dude, we got to go up. So I talked with Byron. We got our price set. Again, mentally, I'm like, dude, we ain't doing no more than 180. That's where we at. 190 max ceiling. I called her back. I'm still parked, by the way. You know what I'm saying? We did this quick. I'm like, dude, we got to do this ASAP. Get it while it's hot. If there's a problem that comes up in any point in the process of you getting your deal closed, at any point, address it immediately. And then you're moving forward. Don't sit around and be like, oh my God, stressing. Just address it right there and then there. And then you'll realize it's that easier to break through because you already got momentum at that point. You'll break through any problem if you address it right away. Trust me, the more time you give it, the bigger your problem get. The bigger you stick it. You know what I'm saying? If I'd have been like, man, it's Friday, I'm gonna wait till Saturday, try to get this worked out. No. Called her back. Now this is where Cordero turned into. Cordero the cleaner. Yeah. I was gonna say Denzel from Training Day, but Cordero a real deal was just like, yeah, okay. You want to go to jelly? You want to go home? Really is where I turned into. But the cleaner, this is why I dialed in, dude. I'm telling you, time slowed down. I was like, okay, let's get on this call. She talking about 215. Let's get on this call. So I called her back and I was just like, oh, hey. So as I mentioned, again, I'm restating what we just talked about on the last call. Even in that moment,
Hey, hold on. One interesting point to mention.
Okay.
We already had a buyer, a cash offer.
Yeah, I didn't mention that.
At 215?
At 215, yeah.
Yeah, we already had a cash offer at 215. We had them at 170. We had a cash offer at 215. So this was already like 45 off the rip.
So she came up 215. I'm like, ma'am.
Oh man, you just named $45,000 out of pocket.
You just, you know what I'm saying? No. And that's really what I made the point off of. And so I went deep. You know what I mean? Again, the first thing I did was reiterate where we was at. Let's over clarify, over communicate. So, okay, hey, Miss Wife, I talked with my underwriting team as we mentioned, and like we just spoke about. I understand that you're wanting to come up so we can go ahead and make this work. But I talked with my underwriting team. We got to go ahead and make a decision today so that way we can close. We still want to move towards the closing table because I know your husband mentioned, that you guys want to close before the next payment comes in. And so that's definitely important. And like my guy, I think it was Frank said that, it's like something seeming sus. She acting like there's no urgency anymore or stuff like that. Like, nah, he didn't just make that up. He didn't just come out of the husband didn't just make all of that junk up. So I was just like, before we even start, I didn't say that and then say, okay, you want 215, we want 180. What can we do? No. Let's take some time. Same way I did it with him. The discovery process where I'm trying to ascertain what's really going on. What do you really value? What's really important? I'm doing it with her. So I started back over. That's where we're at. So just so you know, the whole purpose of this conversation right now that we're talking about is to make sure we can come to a decision right now so we can close on Monday and something that works for you and works for your husband. So let me know. I mean, what's going on with the property? I'm sorry, your husband, he hadn't mentioned, I hadn't talked with you before. And so he let me know this. What are you thinking? And so she's telling me, well, this is going on with the property. She's trying to put on her tough guy face, and we really don't need to sell it. We could just list it with a realtor. We could just do this, and we could even rent it out. And I was like, okay. I'm not even asking more questions. And so if you do this, he mentioned this, and I'm bringing up some information that she might not have knew that I knew. Your husband already spilled the beans, ma'am. He already told me that, you guys got a HVAC. And could you tell me a little bit about, what do you, she was just like, and the property doesn't need that much work. And the property doesn't need, saying it's in a good condition. I was like, okay, well, what do you think? Because I talked with your husband. He told me this, and this, but what do you think it needs? Maybe you see something that we haven't seen or anything like that. What do you think the property needs? needs. She started going through all of this, the checkpoint, basically told me everything. She didn't mention the HVAC, which was the main thing. I was just okay. What about the HVAC? She was like, oh, I'm wearing her down. Notice, I'm talking about a whole lot of stuff. None of it is price.
Yeah.
None of it is price, right? And so I'm just really reiterating, restating the obvious. Let's talk about the condition. Then let's talk about what you actually need, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about the condition. I'm letting her tell me. So it needs this and that and this and that. Okay. And I mean, your husband, he was saying some stuff about just, I guess you guys are dealing with that tenant. She's been a very problematic tenant. And you guys kind of got behind at some point, had to get caught up. And I know it's going to cost a lot of money with this and that. And so, I mean, how do you feel? Do you want to keep dealing with this tenant? Is that really something you want to do?
He just taking that and just it's like pain. Is that some pain right there? Is that it?
Back the other way.
Pain, more pain. Dude, right. He just feeling around for that pain. He just pushing at her.
And then
in her brain, she probably thinking about all kind of stuff that he probably ain't thinking about. She probably thinking about how, they might be fussing about letting this property go. And it's like, dang, it is kind of, it does need some work done. Dang, this is that, dang, this is it. And now it's going to make it a lot easier for her to, hey, bring it on down. Let's get this deal done. You see what I'm saying? Once you feel all that pain, it's like me when I get a headache. It's like, man, I don't like taking medicine. I hate taking medicine.
Me too, yeah.
But then once you start feeling more pain and more pain and more pain and more pain, you just get like, man, give me the medicine.
That's another point that I was just about to make. It wasn't even just about the pain. It was about the pain versus the reward too.
Yeah.
Right? So I was kind of I was asking her questions that allowed her to weigh the pros and cons. Let's weigh the pros and cons of this. We got time. We got to make a real sound decision. And you don't need more time to make a decision. You need more information to make a decision. Heard that from Alex Hormozy, and I was like, very true. And so right now, I am the professional in all of this. I can help you get information. So let me help you. I'm helping you make a sound decision is what I'm doing. So you telling me your husband said all of this, and I'm getting the pain, but I'm also thinking other things that she's probably not wanting to mention to me, like the fact that she's talking about she was on vacation. Let's be real, ma'am. Y'all are separated. She said, no, we're still married. And I think she said that to say, because she thought if I was going to say that they were separated, she wasn't going to get none of the money. I was like, no, legally you can get that ain't got nothing to do with me. But she was just like, no, we're still together. Like, no, ma'am, y'all are separated because don't know. I was asking Byron's a married man. Byron, how often do you go get something to eat and don't tell your wife what you going to get? You just pull up on her. Hey, oh, by the way, I got chick. What? That don't happen. This man almost sold the whole house. So I'm like, no, he got this far without it. Y'all are not together. Y'all are separated at least. Maybe not legally divorced. Y'all separated, and you saw that 1,400 and was just like, oh, let me. This was the case where your woman step in front of you and
because if y'all were together, she wouldn't have just called you.
Exactly.
He would have called back and been like, hey, look.
All of that time, I never had a conversation with both of them at the same time. It was either one or another. And they almost never, it was like there was two different people I was dealing with. So no. And she basically stepped in as if you go to a restaurant and they mess up your order and you don't want to say nothing. And your girl come out and be like, he said no pickles. He said no pickles. That's how she hit me. So I was just like, you said, he ain't going, we not taking no 1,400 is what she was saying. Yeah. And so I'm going in. So let's weigh the pros of this. Yeah, you might be able to stick it out, wait it, deal with the financial burdens of a property that I know both of y'all cannot afford right now. But if y'all not together, do you want to keep dealing with him? Like I'm pretty sure this might be one of the last major things. After you cut it off, it's like you don't have to talk with him as much anymore if not about this property. You don't even like talking with him now. That's why I ain't heard you talk with him. So it's just like I'm weighing all of the pros and the cons. Let's literally think about if you do this. Talking about, well, it don't need that much work. Well, how much work do you said it need this, and that. And then she said, well, I could just rent it out and I could just list it on the market. I said, well, you can definitely list it on the market. It may take you some time, but I know we were supposed to be moving towards the closing table by Monday. So how you gonna list it on the market and get it sold if you trying to meet that deadline? She's like, okay, right? Condition. She one thing before the condition was where I sent it home, by the way, just so you guys know. But before I got there, she was just like, well, I got some friend. We don't live there. I don't live there. He live in Georgia, and I live in a completely different state. Put y'all together.
That's another thing.
But I got some friends who's about to move there in August, and they can rent it out from them. I'm like, listen, and this wasn't no trying to persuade her or nothing. This is me just giving her helpful information, help her make a decision. Ma'am, first and foremost, we work with a lot of people who are also investors who have like a rental property themselves. And if you're having this much hard, difficult time, most people who are tired landlords and manage the property themselves and are having trouble managing their own tenant, they have a property management company already with the tenant, and the tenant is giving them a hard time. And so it's like, if you're having a hard time now, then imagine what it's like when you bring your friend into it. And what people don't realize is we run into so many people who's just like, yeah, I let my cousin stay there, but he trashed the property. My own cousin. It's like, and I was explaining to her this, it's like, man, because when you move your friend in there or your family member, it's not tenant landlord, it's my best friend. So if I'm late on the rent, or if I'm messing something up, it's like, oh, we boys. You my friend, you my family. Like, come on, man, cut me some slack. So it's just like, it's a lot more difficult for you to lay down the law when you need to. And you guys are already having a property that's mismanaged. So I can only imagine when you kick them out and put your friend in there, that's not a good look. So she was like, yeah, that makes sense. So I was like, and again, this is where I really hit it home before we even start talking about numbers. I know you said you want 215, right? But we can't, that's 40,000. We're moving towards the closing table at 170. We're supposed to be closing on the next business day, on Monday. We can't come up 40,000. That's what I did. This is the take it off the table model. You guys try this part. Take it off the table. She said 215. I was like, okay, you asked to come up 40,000. We can't do that.
Take it off the table.
Take it off the table. We can't do that. But I know you can't do 170, right? Is what I say. I know you can't do 170, right? You said the property doesn't need that much work, but it does need this. And I explained to her, listen, the thing about your property is your property's in a very great area. It's in a great location. And of course, naturally, she's going to agree with that. Yeah, you're right. It is in a great location. Okay. So you're saying all we need to do is come in and just fix the HVAC, maybe spot paint, do some touch-ups and things like that. Well, actually, because it's in that area, we can't do that. When you got a location like that, you can't just spot paint in an area like this where you're just touching up, and you can't just get away with just sweeping and doing all of that with the area like this. If you want to compete with the other houses in this area on this part of town, we got to really come with it with our renovations and with our rehab. So all the things that you're acting like they're just minor and you may do them, you may not do them. Not really. Like we really do. Actually, if we wanted to compete with the best houses in the market, we're actually going to have to come in and put some work into the property.
Man, that's a big dog move right there. That's a big dog swing. Like
For sure. And I was just like, listen, you said you was looking at, I'm sure y'all know how much the HVAC costs. How much did you say that was going to cost? She was just like, because this is what she said. I said, how much do you think it's going to cost to rehab the property? She was just like, probably no more than about $5,000 to $10,000 at the most. I'm like, okay. How much did you say the HVAC was going to cost? $6,000. So I'm like, that's just one thing. That's just the HVAC. So if that's going to cost $6,000, and then you saying we need to come in and paint and do floors, and you see the kitchen is dated. If we want to compete with the bigger houses in the area, in this nice area, we're going to have to redo the kitchen, remodel it. We're going to have to do this.
That's a big dog move. That's when the person is refusing to come down and you just like, come on down.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a big dog move, man.
And that's really what now she's thinking, he's got a point. Because obviously she's going to agree that this is a nice house in a nice area. She's going to agree, like, yeah, of course my property. Always agree with them. Like, get something before you start talking about how ugly their house is. Talk about something beneficial, because you don't want to come with them. Hey, really, man, your property is a piece of trash. your property's trash, you're ugly, you need to brush your teeth more. Like, you don't want to be insulted. You know what I'm saying? It's like, before you start talking about what's wrong with it, give them some compliments. Oh man, and it's in a great area. I mean, as you know, it's in a great location. It's in a great area. And they were like, yeah, it's always growing. They're about to put, and they'll say anything. They're about to build a hospital 2 miles away. It's like, dude, that's 2 miles. That doesn't gonna affect your. Like, are they building new houses 2 miles, bro? That's in a whole another county, y'all. That's forever. That's not your neighborhood, but whatever. Just go with it. And so obviously, and then so I'm saying, so with that being said, we can't just get away with halfway doing it. If we're going to compete with the houses in this neighborhood, we're going to have to really put some elbow grease into it, and we're going to have to put some money in it. It's going to cost us a lot of money. It's not going to be, this isn't 10,000. If the HVAC alone is 6, and then this and that and this and that. So she's like, okay, we cannot come up $40,000 the day before closing. I was saying it to her, making her hear how crazy that sound. Because then I could hear her thinking, like, you know what? He's got a point. $40,000 a day before closing. And then this is where I really, really started to slide off into it. I was just like, so they actually told me when I was talking with my underwriting team, I didn't know this before. Your husband told me that, you owe probably 150, 130 at best, 150 at most. But they told me that you guys are actually walking away with $1,400. And I was just like, yeah, no, honestly, it makes a lot of sense to me. That's absolutely crazy. And especially after everything that you dealt with these crazy tenants and all the headaches and all the financial burden that you guys put into the property, keeping it. I know you feel like you got to get something out of it. And I agree. It's like, you put all that into it. There's no reason why you should just walk away empty-handed on the property. But again, we can't come up $40,000 a day before closing, but I know you need to walk away with something. We can go ahead and pay off what you owe. If we can pay off what you owe, and I switched it. Notice we was at 170. She asked for 215. That's the total purchase price. But I switched the conversation from talking about purchase price to the number she was going to be walking away with. Yeah. That's the small thing that I did, because what I ended up saying was, okay, we can't come up 40K, but I'm not saying we can't come up to 215. I'm saying we can't come up 40K. Listen to the verbiage. Switch it up when you got to.
Yeah. If we stuck on numbers, man.
Because I realized that's all she was thinking about was the money she was going to be walking away with.
Yeah, when you can't get them with the purchase price, though, have them start thinking about how much they're going to walk away with.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So if the purchase price don't work, I mean, you can try this for any property. If the purchase price doesn't work, purchase price doesn't work. Okay, let's start talking about what you need to walk away with.
Yeah, and two, vice versa, because I just did it earlier. I was telling you, I was talking with a seller earlier, and she started coming on down. Initially, we was talking about what she gonna walk away with, because I asked her about the mortgage. I said how much she want to clear. She said a crazy number, and I switched it to talking about the actual purchase price, and then that was what it took. Sometimes you got to switch it, but for this particular seller, or for the wife, she was just like, I could tell she was focused on what she was walking away with. So I was just like, I know you don't need to walk here. I wouldn't even feel right having you walk away with absolutely nothing after all that hard work that you didn't put in this property, all the investment and time that you dealt with. We can't come up 40,000, but what if we could take care of the mortgage at the closing table and you and your husband walk away with 10K? You guys got $10,000, and that's put money in your pocket, and that's walking away with something, and that makes sense. And again, we can close on Monday and we can get this taken care of. Is there any reason why we couldn't get that? We couldn't move forward with that price? I'm gonna have to think about it. I need some more time. Well, like I mentioned at the top of this call, it's like we got to close on Monday. If we can get the purchase agreement, if we can get this amendment signed now and get it sent in before the next hour, I think we should be able to get everything in order to go ahead and close on Monday. And I just want to let you know this again. We're just trying to meet that deadline, so you all don't have to pay the next mortgage payment. Can we get this done? What do we need to do? If 10K, if you can't do 10K, what do you absolutely need? I want to make sure I get it approved and I can go ahead and go. She said 185. I said, ooh, woo, dang, how she come down from 215 to 185? She said 185. I was just like, I was thinking, man, should I go back and forth with her? Should I go back and forth? I was just like, yeah, I mean, my team, we again, they wanted to come. They had room because we were supposed to be closing at 170. They had room to come up to that 180, and that was kind of the range. I want to say, yeah. I don't know. I got to talk with my underwriting team, but if I can get the 185 approved, and we can go ahead and get this out and sent to you,
boss move.
Can we? You know, is there any? Can we get this? Can we? Would you be against getting the process started today? Can we get the process started now? I'll send it over to you. We can get it signed. And the quicker, again, I'm adding that urgency to her. So that way she's not thinking about, let me get
the thing is, she want the price and you know, she want that price. You know, it already works.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But I'm not making this
in that conversation. It doesn't work for you. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, that doesn't work for me. It really does. But to you, for you think it doesn't work for me. So I'm gonna use that and say, okay, this don't work for me. So hey, why don't you give me something? You see what I'm saying? Give me some urgency, like give me some quickness, give me speed, give me guarantee.
Yeah.
Guarantee, right? Yeah. Hey, if I can get you that 185 approved, you know, are you gonna be ready to go? Because like that's something I'm gonna use. Like I would do that all the time when I was first getting started. It's like that's something I'm gonna use to make sure we can get the ball.
Yeah, no, I think I did tell her that actually. If I didn't tell her that, I say that all the time to this day.
I know. I've heard her say
writers, and I'm gonna let them know, and that's what I'm gonna tell them. I think I can get them to say yes if we're ready to go today. Right? If you can sign today, I think I can say yes. But again, really what I was planning on is the urgency I established at the top of the call. We're supposed to be closing on Monday because you and your husband want to close before the next mortgage payment is due. That's the biggest urgency. But I did use that because I use that on every call. That would get to that point. But I was just like that. And she was like, yeah, no, absolutely. If you can. Because I gave her that pushback and I didn't immediately get into bed with that 185 and I gave her that pushback so she didn't feel like it's sweet. She felt like she was getting a steal, which she still was, I think. But she felt like she was getting a steal. And if I could say, get the 185 approved, then she was just like, yes, we can get it done. And I felt the tone and the shift in her voice. Dog, if we could get that 185 approved, she was going to sign. She was over assuring me. She was like, if you can get me 185, I'll sign right now. We can get everything sent. I was like, okay.
Now you should have came in, hey man, I was able to get 182.5.
No, I asked you that. I remember I was just like, dog, she said 185. And he was like, go, just do it.
Yeah, I always say that. It's like, dude, bird in the hand, let's go, man.
Let's go, right? And then I think me and both were just like, man, we could be like 182.5 or something like that. You don't know, because just as Cordero the cleaner as I was, boy, I was stressed out when she said that. Like that whole conversation stressed me out a little bit. And I wasn't gonna sleep good until she signed it. Never mind her verbal agreement. I need stuff signed before I feel okay. You know what I mean? So he said that, and I was just like, okay, yes. And I just had Laura send it over. I was like, dude, type it up. Either call Laura right now or you send it out, one of the two. So he called our admin VA, Laura. It was just on her right now and having her send it right now. So I was like, okay. I called the lady back. I was just like, hey, I just talked with my team. We got it approved. They should be sending that to you immediately. They should be sending that to you right away. And go ahead and get that signed. And like I said, I'm looking down at the clock. I think it was, like I said, like 2. I was like, if we can get this done, if you can get this signed and sent back before 3, I can get this over and we'll be good to go ahead and close by Monday. If you can get this to me by the top of the next hour, we can get it closed by Monday. And so I was over communicating. I knew over communicating. She's like, okay, we got that thing signed. I was checking with Laura. I was like, dude. He was just like, ooh. I think Byron was like, man, good job. I was like, dog, let's get it signed. Nah, ain't no good job. I need that signature because ain't no good job until and even when the signature is done, people are erratic, man. Yeah. So the signature would make me feel.
Especially in Tennessee.
especially in Tennessee, apparently. And so she actually ended up signing like within as soon as Laura sent it out. But I think it took Laura, like Laura's, wear many hats. So Laura like got it out in the next like 5-10 minutes. So it took that lady, like she signed it immediately. We got it. And I was like, okay. And it went, got signed, and I got back in my car and went to go get my food. I was just sitting off the parking lot somewhere. I was like, dude, I ain't moving an inch, boy. And it took me back. Listen, if you ain't never called sellers in your car and you ain't got the AC on because the air out, or you just don't got AC in your car, because that car, I mean, I had AC in it, but when I was first, I used to be in a dialer. And I ain't had no AC in my car. So I just be off in that thing, just call after call, just drenched in sweat, just sitting off in a sauna. Like, that took me back, man. I dialed in. I went back to the cleaner days. You know what I'm saying? It's like Kobe Bryant, Jordan going back.
I remember riding home from work in a car with no air in that mug. I would call and settle back. Let the window up to call him back. As soon as I got off the phone, let that window down.
Wait, dude. Yeah, so they don't even know you got sweat out your eye.
Get the sweat out your eye. Calling the attorney's offices. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So if we can get right, we get the process started today.
Yeah. Hey, you get to that red light, what you gonna do? Let that window down.
Let the window down, maybe open the door. So we can get that price.
Oh man, the struggle is real, man. It's like, dude, we talking about this right here, man, and we don't, we out here cashing, 40K deals, but it's like, shoot, man, it's like, I don't know, man. It's different. It's like, shoot, there's people who struggling out there, but they driving like Mustangs, and they driving freaking
Camaros,
Chargers, Mercedes Benzes. You know what I'm saying? They are so cold, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but
it's like you got to take that time to sit back, and you got to take 2 steps back to take 10 steps forward. So there's got to be a chapter in your life, just like we was talking about the other day. There's a chapter where you just go hard. You just go hard. There's also a chapter where it's like you ain't worried about having the fruits. It's like if you're a farmer, there's a part of the season where you're not worried about picking fruits off the tree and harvesting. You're just worried about planting seeds, and that's it. Yeah, dude. I was like, I wasn't thinking about getting no new car, trying to look rich at the time, and then like that.
Hey, even now, we finna get 40. Like we cashing out on this deal 40K.
Yeah,
neither one of us talking about getting watches and chains. And,
we're talking about planting more seeds. How we gonna plant more seeds?
Dude, we talking about how we get more leads.
Dude, and we'll talk about that. I think that needs to be we got a show for that, just a kind of that mindset that you got to be in. But it's a different type of hunger.
Shout out some people, man. Wolf of Wall Street, man. Always coming through.
Wall Street.
What's up, man? Frank, he coming through, man. Need to start doing some of them side of road deals. Hey, if you got below a side of road, it's a deal.
I pulled off into a parking lot, but even still, dude, it's just like you got that dog.
Rolex, what's up, man? That's big
car deals. Anita,
what's up, Nita?
Yeah,
man.
I had to hit her with that side, dude. The side is a weapon. It's a utility belt tool.
I don't know.
Hey, Byron, let me hear your side. Let me hear your side. Look, I'm gonna be the seller real quick. And can you make 218 work? All time, this is the seller face on the other end of the phone.
I say, I don't think they're gonna be able to make that work. But hey, I tell you this: if they could make it work, if they can make this work, and we can get you out of the door at 215,
okay.
I'm gonna tell them that you're gonna go ahead and sign today if we can get you at 215. Do you think that will work?
I mean, I think we can make that work. I think
Okay,
we can
so
with
I'm gonna
possibly.
go back, check with them, see if we can do the 215. If we can, I'm gonna go ahead and send you the paperwork. We can go and get it signed today.
Okay, my email is email at one two. They be ready to go, but they be trying to play the cool, you know what I'm saying? But that side, don't sleep on the side. That practice, I want all y'all gotta go practice y'all's. And two, another thing is just another thing that really is a banger is the dead silence.
Oh
Dead
yeah.
silence is a beautiful thing on these phones sometimes. Not when you in a discovery phase, but when you in the negotiation, you get into the closing part where you're getting them locked up or under contract, and you say a number, either you say something, if you hear dead silence, that means that they're thinking, or if they say something that you don't want to immediately agree with, and you have the power to be like, that's powerful. That's powerful right there. That you hear that quiet, it got quiet as a church mouse.
Yeah, for sure.
It gets silent, so for sure, for sure. But definitely. Um, yeah, man. She tried it. She tried it. She tried it. She definitely did try it. So we got her locked up. We actually did need to get an extension for some reason, but we was able to close. And also, too, another benefit that we were offering these people is we weren't saying, "Hey, y'all need to get the tenant out before we close." Their next payment was due like on the 5th, and the tenant was scheduled to be out on like the 10th. And then ultimately, and I'm just giving, I don't think those are the accurate numbers, but like 5th, 10th supposed to be out on the 10th. We got to the 10th. She wasn't out. That's another
Tenant
story.
ain't out. Hey, what did I tell you though, Cordero?
Bro.
What
Dog,
did I say the whole time?
exactly what was gonna happen. Man, the tenant ain't about to just get out. I was like, man, because they kept saying, like, I kept asking, I was like, and the tenant is gonna be out. Like I was using that as a like a motivation for them, like an urgency for them. They was like, nah, we ain't worried about that. The tenant gonna be out. That's handled. And I was like, okay.
So
Okay,
Cordero,
y'all seem super duper.
they confident. They confident they're gonna be out. I'm like,
Yeah. Byron said, bro, shut up. You're right there.
dude,
Not about to be
yeah,
out.
man. like that tenant ain't gonna be out. I'm like, call the tenant.
Yeah, and I was just like, okay, man.
As soon as he called the tenant, what happened?
A literally whole nother story. So again, we got it under contract, and I was just like, listen, another thing, a benefit we're offering you is we're gonna close, and y'all ain't got to worry about the tenant. Y'all been having problems out of this tenant for months. This is a problem tenant, like a tenant that go 3 months without paying, not paying a little bit or paying late. She's not paying at all, still in the property. So I'm like, I know you don't want to keep dealing with this. Don't give me no BS about you can rent it out again. Stop trash. So she's like, okay, we got her signed. We closed. We had to push him back like 2 days for some reason. We closed. Now it's time for Cordero to start dealing with the tenant. I called the tenant. I was like, hey, how's it going? I was just like, she's like, well, actually, no, the what is it? The property managers was just like, yeah, no, she's supposed to be out on this date. We've already sent her a notice like a month ago that this is the date she's supposed to be out. I was like, okay. So I was like, can I reach out to the tenant just to check and set up a time? They were just like, no, that's confidential information. We can't give you that, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, okay. Okay. So I guess, can you reach out to the tenant and set up a walkthrough so that way we can check and just make sure that she's about to be out of the property and this and that and this and that. And they were just like, okay. So we close on the property and we get to the day that she was supposed to be out. And she was just like, yeah, the tenant's not out. So here go her contact information. And here go. She said she can't be out. She said it was a miscommunication. She said it was a misunderstanding. And she's not going to be out to the end of this week, to the end of the next week. I was like, okay. Huh? What do you mean? And by just like by
he called me, and I'm like, dude, that's not an option.
Yeah. And so again, they talking about they can't give her number and yada 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 because it's confidential information, dog. We buying this property. When we owned it, I was like, listen, we own the property now, ma'am. I don't want to hear none of that.
Exactly.
Give me the number. So I called her then, and she was just like, yeah, I'm actually gonna need. I just didn't know that it was this, so we're supposed to be out on this date. I was like, ma'am, that cannot happen.
Yeah.
That cannot happen. And then I had to start what I did with her. Again, I'm realizing it's tactical negotiation, but ultimately it just boils down to like understanding people and figuring out what they want and what they need, and then understanding what you need to get out of it and position it like a win-win situation. And so what I did for this tenant was, listen, we got you. We just bought the property. We're getting your deposit. They're giving us the deposit. They even cashed it in my name. I don't know. I don't even know why they put it in my name.
Garbage. They're trash, man.
Trash property management company, dude. And that might be a tactic. We need to reach out to that property management company, all of the properties that they own. We just need to hit up all the owners and say, hey, you want to sell? We need to do that. They're trash. But whatever. They put it in my name. I reached out to the tenant. I said, hey, listen, we got your the deposit, and we need you out the property. If you can be out by this day, we can get you the full deposit. If you go over any point, then we're gonna have to start taking away from that deposit because it's costing us. We purchased the property at this point. It's costing us about how much per day is this costing us?
$100, a little bit over $100 a day.
Time is money.
Time is money, dude.
It's costing us money, and she lived in there for a whole week rent free, acting like I'm the problem.
Yeah.
Like, ma'am, you knew you were supposed to be out there. She was just like, well, I didn't know. Even if you didn't know, as of what we see, I had to force you to get out now. So again, let me explain this to you. She was supposed to be out on like a Friday, or maybe it was that Monday or something like that. But let's say it was a Friday.
Yeah, she will be out Monday. And then we was like, okay. You know, she was like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be out till Friday. I thought it was going to be Friday. So we like, okay, the property need to be empty on Thursday because we wanted to list it by Friday so that we can have
This is my thing. This is what she's telling us. I thought it's a miscommunication. The property management said I was supposed to be out by Monday, but actually I was supposed to have until Friday. I was like, okay, so in your mind, you were going to be out by Friday. We had to fight her to get out by Friday.
No, on what, Wednesday or Thursday? No, Wednesday she had off. She had off work. And you was like, okay, Wednesday you're gonna work on getting it out. She was like, hey, called her back on what, Wednesday evening. She ain't done nothing. Well, Wednesday evening, here we go. Cordero pulled the plug on her.
Yeah,
hey, look, if you don't be out of there, then we're gonna go ahead and take that deposit.
Yeah, ma'am, they wrote the deposit in my name for some reason, which they wasn't supposed to do. I asked them, I was just like, why you put it in my name? She was just like, they got an attitude with me. Did you tell us to put it in somebody else's name? I'm thinking, ma'am, what's your name? And if the tenant come up here and pay rent, do they put it in the name of the company or in your name? You just the person that answered the phone. Why'd you do that? Whatever. But I'm like, ma'am, they don't put the deposit in my name. I will go buy some Jordans. I will go buy some shoes. I will go out to eat off this.
Yeah.
I know you need this money to move, so quit playing.
I'll tell, hey, man, once he told her, hey, look, if the property, and I had to tell him, like, look, man, can't play around with this lady, dude.
Nah, because look, this is another one of them when we was talking. I actually had Byron on the line, and I had her on the phone. I was talking, and she got to, this was at the beginning of the week when she was supposed to be out. She tried to start crying. And actually, I don't know. She crying, and I'm like, nah, dude. No, we got to start crying on me. Because I know what it's like. I work for a property management company. I grew up, I had a rough upbringing. We was always had to move place to place to place. Either we got evicted, kicked out, or we were just moving. And I know with some people, their whole mindset is just, how can I get over on the next person? And I ain't gonna say she's trying to get over on the next person. I'm just like, ma'am, it's just like, you always in a tough spot. It's just like, and this was in a nice neighborhood. I'm thinking, why was you even renting here? You need to have an apartment. You a single mom. You need to have an apartment in an affordable part of town. Don't try to get off in this neighborhood, dude. You know you can't.
You are crazy.
3 months not paying no rent. I ain't ever been three months behind on rent. And you still in the house and ain't nobody kicked you out?
Dude, that's crazy.
I don't even know what's dude. You ain't got evicted or nothing. You don't even got an eviction, man. If you don't get out, talking about you got to cry and get. I'm thinking to myself, like, you probably done pulled all of that on them already. That's why you got the.
That's why you still here.
Again, speaking of people who we sweating bullets in the car trying to make a deal happen. She trying to have, and I bet I never seen it. No, I did see her car. She got a car, probably an expensive car note. She living in a better part of town than, either me or Byron definitely started off in.
Yeah,
It's like
sure.
can't afford it. And she here, I'm like, man, get to your means or below that
Yeah.
and start being real. Stop thinking you're gonna try to cry and manipulate people to get you what you want, man.
Dude, stay down till you come up, man.
Stay down till you come up. You come up, it shouldn't be no problem. Just being humble and just like you what you want. What you don't realize is you think the top 1% is the 1% in this country. Even living in an apartment, having a car that's you sweating bullets in it. You top 1% in the world. There's whole countries that don't have a car. They don't got no food. They ain't ate this week. And so y'all acting like y'all gotta have a nice and this and that and this and that. And to compete with who? It's like, dude, you don't realize even having a nice apartment and a decent car to get you from point A to point B for a time period while you build something, that's still better living than some people in some countries ever get to know of their whole life. You see what I'm saying? And so she's one of those people, but I was like, nah, dog, we ain't about to play it lightly. I'm trying to play. I ain't even trying to play good cop, bad cop with you. I'm gonna be cool with you, but as soon as we getting all close to the date, man, get out the property.
Yeah, it was like, hey, look, man, if you don't have it was like she kept stalling.
Stalling.
It was like, dude, at the property, we're sending somebody out there front. I told Credit, I was like, dude, Credit, I don't want to have to tell you to do this, man, but I may need you to drive on up there, man. He was like, nah, I got you, man. I got you. And I was like, look, tell her this. Look, man, if you ain't out of that property by the time my person get up there, then that deposit gonna be done. Like she came up with all these excuses. I don't have nowhere to put it. No, remember she said, I ain't got no family in town. And then they said that she was like, yeah, my mama was gonna come over. It's like, hold on,
the property where her dad was there.
Yeah. Hold on, now you got a daddy?
Yeah, mom and dad. I don't even got a dad. What are you talking about? You got mom, dad, everything.
He was like, oh, I can't go nowhere. I have no family. I have no family at all.
Any family, because we're giving her solutions to her problem. Yeah. Okay, you said you don't think you can be out. Well, you don't got no family and no friends. Can you rent a car? You got people to help you move. Again, that's something Byron was telling me to do because I wasn't thinking about it. But don't just be like, are you gonna move out and leave it at that? We're gonna talk about the solutions now. Like, I'm not gonna say move out. I'm gonna say, hey, you can move out by this date. Yeah, okay. You got some people to help you move out.
Exactly.
U-Haul.
Exactly. Exactly. Because this lady was talking about moving out, but you ain't got none of the stuff you need to move out. You know, that's just like we talking about the Kelly lady. It's like you gotta guide them. You know what I'm saying? It's like you gotta, hey, are you getting this stuff? Hey, are you making this happen? Are you making this happen? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. It's
like a kid, and it's almost like a kid. It's like a kid that you got that it's like, hey, did you turn in your application? You know what I'm saying? Hey, put it in your book bag. You know what I'm saying? Hey, when you get there, make sure you turn it in now.
Or it's like, you know, I forgot what it was. It was just like, it's like some movie. It was like, did you brush your teeth? Yeah. With toothpaste? Yeah. With water? Take a shower? With soap? It's like, yeah.
I forgot get that brush teeth, man. No, you did.
It's like, yeah, you got to hit them with that. It's just like, you know, you gonna move out? Yeah. Okay. Because if we'd have just left it up for interpretation, we'd have got all the way to Friday, and she'd have been like,
"Oh, she would have still been there."
Actually, trying to cry on you, and I'm not even acting like no, because more than anything, like I said, I really grew up in a lifestyle like that. She had kids, and I could probably understand where her kids might be going through, have to move and stuff, unexpected, move schools, bro. I went to way too many schools, so I ain't gonna act like, man, I was just hard. But I understand firsthand the fullness of the story, and there's elements of it, like she might be in a tough situation, but also she probably has a lot more to do with the situation she's in than anybody else. It's her. Just like she had Wednesday off and did zero. She did nothing. She didn't move anything. So it's just like, what'd you do on Wednesday? what did you do on? So without being judgmental or thinking like I'm too hard, like if she start crying, I was aware of it, but I'm like, nah, you ain't about to just try to use this to get over it because people can. If you give a mouse a cookie, that's all it was. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I understand you going through stuff, but if you give a mouse a cookie, they gonna want to stay until Monday.
At the end of the day, man, I mean, you're a mama, you're an adult, man. You need to have a plan. You got kids.
Yeah, and if you're a single mom, hey, it's not my place, but in my opinion, if you're a single mom, don't move in a city where you don't got family.
Yeah,
Be around your family because it take a village, and it is definitely take more than a single mom. You don't want to be dropping them off at the new friend that you just met from work house, and she doing weird stuff.
Or just leave them at the house and ain't nobody nowhere close around. You know what I'm saying? No kind of family. It's like, dude,
we had to get. This was before we closed on it. We had to get an inspection, and the property management company again, they was trash. But we let them know they didn't want us communicating directly with the tenant. We was like, we need to get our inspector to come over there. Can y'all let it know? And they said, okay. We text the tenant, and she just stopped texting us. My property, the inspector went over there. He started. That dude is funny, but by the way, but the inspector went over there, and he like somebody called me and was just like, "Hey man, I got here. It's just 2 teenage girls at the property. I can't be here." I'm like, "Oh, okay." You know what I mean? I was like, nah, dude, I get that. And I think Tiffany actually called me and was just like, hey, no, he said he can't go in there because there's teenage girls. And I was like, oh, man, that's crazy. But again, it's just like anything could happen. And it's all of this is just like, whatever. I knew that she was going to keep trying to when she asked me, hey, can we move to would you guys let me rent here? She said something like that, like alluding to that. Like,
let you rent here when you hadn't paid in 3 months.
No. Right? But I mean, there's some other details that I want to go into, but nonetheless. So we got that. We took it down. Our plans and our intentions of what we were going to do with the property from start to finish have changed. I think we might need to go a little bit more in depth on another video to explain kind of the process of closing and from the time we purchased it, got her butt up out of there, and all of the things that we decide to do with it going towards the closing table. Or do you want to sum it up or just kind of see what? Because
I would say, like, shoot, we bought it and we kind of had 2 directions to go. We could sell it as is, or we could like fix the AC, and like we was like gonna fix stuff and see what happened. You know what I'm saying? First, we were gonna see, okay, they didn't want to buy as is, you know, and then if not, then we was gonna fix the AC, then see if anybody wanted it. Then we was gonna try to see if we could paint it, maybe freshen it up. We was gonna do as light as we could. You know what I'm saying? Well, as is, we really didn't get an offer. Well, when we fixed the AC, boom, we got an offer. So we was really kind of out of the gate. So we didn't have to do some of the other stuff that we thought we was gonna have to do. But you know, it still worked out. We got an offer, which was a full price offer, even though they wanted like $1 million in selling concessions. But it ended up being like $7K in selling concessions, which nowadays, you know, $5K is almost standard. Because I got 4 properties. Every single one of them got $5K selling concessions. It's like, dude, it's crazy, man. Trust me, I know some other people that's flipping. Man, it's rough out there, dude. It's rough in these streets. Some people ain't getting their property sold. So I feel, you know, I feel blessed to have 4 properties, all of them under contract, and go ahead. You know, we headed toward the closing table. Some people out there getting a Mike Tyson treatment on the market right now. You know what I'm saying? You know, I ain't quite getting the Mike Tyson treatment. I got a little jab though. Boop, boop. They hit me on that chin 2 times. Boop, boop. They checked me.
Yeah.
Oh,
you getting pieced up.
They checked me.
That's that Floyd Mayweather, man. That's that pieced up. You can't stop it, but it ain't just gonna put you on your back, man. Crazy.
Just a little chin.
You know what I'm saying? Get back. One
of them. They got me back. A little leaking right there on the side. I was leaking a little bit.
You know what I mean? And we're just moving forward. We still like you roll with the punches as the market shifts. Those little chin checks, that's why people get out, especially because you're so used to what the market was a couple years ago. But you don't realize now is the perfect time to garner market share. And we expanded. We talking about we're trying to figure out how to expand. It's like we're not saying, dang, you know what? I think we need to go back to delivering pizzas and door dashing and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just like we trying to figure out, man, go bigger.
Yeah, how do we go bigger?
Go bigger, man. And so we put it on the market, and Mika know what we're talking
Mika know the struggle, man. She know the struggle, mate.
And so putting it on the market, we got some offers. No, I'm not gonna talk about the title company, dude. Whatever.
Oh, the title company trash, but it's all good.
What I will say is the title company that I do use. If you have a property that you're purchasing or selling in Tennessee, Freedom Title is your title company, man. Or just in general, wherever you're at. Remember, these people, whether it's a real estate agent on your team, a title company, these are people who are essentially part of your team. They're part of your ability to execute on deals, to solve problems for people and get stuff done. You want a good title company. Do not sleep on it. Don't, because I realize that some people they get with the title company that will deal with them. And they'll get a mediocre title company just because that was just the first person that they saw. But you'll realize the better your team is, the better your game is. The better your capacity to execute, the better your ability to make stuff happen is the better team. Just like that's why Michael Jordan recruited Dennis Rodman, because he was just like, man, if we can get more rebounds, imagine what we could do. Right. And so that's what it's like having a better title company. And so I appreciate my title company. It costs a little bit more, but we always make the buyer pay anyway. So and even if I did have to pay, is it worth
it, man? It's worth it to pay more and get your junk done right. So
get it right, man. For sure. Man, I want to ask y'all this. Anybody who's watching, dude, I don't know how many people we got watching right now, but do y'all got any deals y'all working? You know what I'm saying? Does anybody got any deals that y'all working, dude? Where are y'all at in the process? It's like, because this is what I'm thinking right now while we explaining this, somebody got a question that we're not thinking to acknowledge. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, y'all got questions or stuff y'all going through, man. Make sure to leave questions on the side or just leave questions in the comments, man, about anything, to deal with real estate. That's what we here for, man. We try to we'll make a video if y'all got questions about anything. We'll make a video about it, and let you know what the deal is. But yeah, man, appreciate y'all coming through. We got 8 people in here, so we definitely should have 8 likes, if you hadn't subscribed to the channel, man, go ahead and get that knocked out. But man, let's do a shout out, man. Ali came through. William Johnson came through as always, man. What's up?
What was that comment he said?
Over that wholesaling in Idaho. What's going on, Cass, man? You got Rolex, OG coming through, man. Wolf of Wall Street. What's going on?
Shout out Wolf.
Nita been coming through since the beginning.
Always coming through, Anita, man. Let them folks know at your job that you work with some buyers.
Hey, talk to the people at your job, man. But man, appreciate y'all coming through for sure, man. We about to roll up out of this thing though. Tomorrow, Monday, Friday. Let's go, man. We'll be back to hit y'all up, man. But until then, peace out.